Dance. Dance.
It's the podcast for what's the date?
January 29th? 30th? 28th?
28?
28th.
We got a 28. We got it. We're going with January 28th, 2019. We're in a different studio. We're in our TV studio doing this podcast because of weather.
Yes, inclement weather has prevented Christoph from making it in this evening. He literally said he tried to open the door of his house and the door pushed back at him.
Yeah. So Christoph may be dead.
He's probably gone. And you know what? He will be missed. Not by me or you, but probably his family. No, we will miss him, but we're not in our usual radio studio, and I got to say, I love this. It's expansive. There's less of Jeff O'Neill's leftover food here.
Here's the thing. So right now it's Snowmageddon in the Toronto area while we're taping this.
And just a reminder, 2 weeks ago, Dan declared winter over. Dan said, this has been the best winter in years, and I guess we're home free till the summer.
Yeah, I really effed that one up. So I drove in, the plows hadn't been out, and I don't know, I guess they're waiting for the snow to stop. I don't know. I'm not in snow plowing technology. Anyway, in our industry, we don't get snow days. Like, we can't say, hey, boss, I'm not coming in.
Yeah, we got to show up. Who would do that? What would happen if one of us didn't show up? You can't do the show by yourself.
What if we just both didn't show up?
Yeah, then who does the show?
We should have, like, those secret combos.
Yeah.
Like hey,
you're not showing up, right? It doesn't have to be secret. Like, we could just call each other. Have a secret convo over the telephone.
Hey, so how about that breakfast you had this morning? What? Remember? That's the code?
Yeah, that's the code for us being snowed in and not coming in to do the show. Oh,
well,
right.
I don't know if our work listens to our phone calls.
Well, actually, that's a good point. We get phones from Bell, we appreciate that generosity from a phone company. It's the least they can do. And then I always wonder that, too. Like, you know, we always talk about my browser history and how I'm terrified that it's going to be made public someday. Well, everyone at Bell knows about it for sure. Randy Lennox, the CEO, Bell Media.
And they give us the phones. So they're like, yes, here, take this one.
Yeah, have this phone. Have this Huawei phone.
No,
not a Huawei?
We don't have Huawei.
Okay, we don't have those. So how about this Huawei executive? You're going to have to escort her to jail.
Producer Tim, it took him 4 hours to get to work.
Did it really take you 4 hours, Tim? 4 hours. So Tim's coming from Brampton, which is probably the most prestigious suburb in the Greater Toronto area. Sonia Burnett-Matthews, she's working on our show tonight. She's from Brampton as well. And
I drove through Brampton over the weekend. I'm like, wow, Tim makes this drive every day?
Yeah,
Is he crazy?
Yeah, it's a long drive. And we always we're like, Tim, why don't you move closer? He's like, no, I love my hometown. You don't know unless you're from there.
B-Town till I die.
B-Town for life, yo. That's what Tim always says when he comes in to work. B-Town for life. We're like, what? Okay.
Hey, it was All-Star Weekend. Boy, did I ever not watch a second of it.
Yeah, you know what I've softened? My stance on the All-Star game is really softened.
I just didn't, I
ignore it, but it's for kids.
But I didn't ignore it. I just didn't see a second of it.
I ignored it. Every time it came on social media, I'd shut off social media. Every time I saw something about it on my TV, I'd shut my TV off. I have no interest in it, and I don't know why anyone would, except for kids. Like, we were talking to Dave Poulin, former NHLer, Pooley, as producer Tim calls him, because they're buds. We were talking to Pooley last week, asking him one of his favorite All-Star memories, and I remembered the Rendezvous 87 series, the two-game series between the NHL All-Stars and the Russian Red Army. Not the Summit Series. This is just a two-game. Instead of doing the All-Star that year in 1987, they did this two-game series. And I remembered it as a kid, loving it and thinking it was so cool. And
I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, it made me realize, okay, you know what? This All-Star game's for kids. It's not for me. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and do it. One thing that amazed me, and we should have got her on to talk about it, Kate Burness traveled to Florida to watch the Pro Bowl in person. That really
And it was
I feel
raining.
like we need to find her a hobby or something, because that seems like a bad use of your time.
Yeah, I think of all the All-Star games, the Pro Bowl, the NFL's Pro Bowl has to be the worst All-Star game.
I think there's no question about it, because the whole point of football is physicality, and obviously in an All-Star game you can't, which makes the NHL All-Star game probably the second worst one. What's the baseball All-Star game is probably the best.
Yeah.
And then
Basketball.
Basketball's second best, because you get some fun, crazy dunks and stuff. Hockey's third, and yeah, the Pro Bowl's just a piece of garbage. But, I mean, there was kind of some things they were doing this year in the Pro Bowl. They were, Jalen Ramsey is playing as a receiver. And guys who probably played as receivers in college and high school got to, go to the other side of the football and
Have you ever
some fun.
watched a Pro Bowl?
Never, and I never will. You can't make me.
Me neither.
You had a great weekend, Dan. You went to America's new hotspot.
Oh, boy. Every time I tell people where I went, they're like, why? I went to Detroit for the weekend.
Detroit has had a pretty rough go, would you
Yes.
say, over
I'd
the
never
last few
been.
decades? Yeah.
But, yeah, you hear the horror stories of entire neighborhoods just abandoned.
You don't want to go, they always said, south of 8 Mile. You want to stay north of 8 Mile. Eminem taught us that, didn't he? And yet now there's a gentrification happening there that you hear New Yorkers talk about Detroit. Like they say, it feels like New York back in the 80s when it was gentrifying and the crime was cleaning up and things were getting better, and it's turning into a cool city.
So I'm glad you mentioned New York, because right outside my hotel, I went there specifically to see this new hotel and stay in it. The Shinola Watch Company, who make their watches in Detroit, they opened a hotel. I'm like, how many watch companies open a hotel?
It's a cool story.
Yeah. So I told the guy at the border this when I'm crossing into Detroit.
Oh, so he said, where are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to check out. He's like, no, you aren't. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're going to see a hotel. I'm like, and stay in it? He's like, no, you aren't. He goes, what do you do? I was there for 15 minutes.
Wow.
He checked my trunk. He checked the back seat, everything.
Really? He did not believe your story at all, because he thought, why would you go check out a hotel in Detroit?
That's right. He goes, why are you here? He said that again to me.
See, that's when you know you're really off the beaten path, right? That's when you know you're doing something really significant and special. So how was the hotel?
Hotel was unreal. Couldn't recommend it enough. Right outside the hotel room, like you look out and you're like, are we in New York? Because all the stores are all done up. It's beautifully lit up. You can walk to every restaurant. Every restaurant's hopping.
Yeah.
You couldn't get into a restaurant. There's 3 casinos there. The new little Caesars Arena's right there, right across from Comerica Park. I'm going to go back for a baseball game.
Did you gamble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I first went to the Greek Town Casino.
Greek town, where Chelios once hung
These
out.
people sitting next to us at dinner the one night, they're like, oh, yeah, it's a young atmosphere. It's fun. There's bars.
Not so much.
It was overrun with people. And the bars they spoke of were just ones you get a drink at. They're like not
Just all
standalone bars.
ouzo.
Yes. So I didn't like.
Okay, and then you moved on to the Hooters Casino.
No, the next day after I went to the art gallery, you go to the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts, unreal. And then I went to the MGM Casino. You could move that right to Vegas, and it would fit in.
Things are happening. Bars, restaurants, people, prostitutes.
I got on a craps table. It was hopping.
Yeah. Did you make a few friends? Get on a hot streak?
No, this one guy did come after we rolled for a bit. He's like, I think you owe me a bit of your winnings. I'm like, no one's ever said that.
Really?
Yeah, it's been at the
he wasn't
same-
being serious.
No, he kept walking, but I'm like, you're creeping me out.
You owe me a bit of your winnings.
Oh, and didn't get a chance to see Kid Rock has a bar in the Little Caesars Arena.
Rock Talk?
I saw it. No, it's called Kid Rock's.
Okay.
I saw it on the way out of town.
That seems like that's the kind of place that Chelly would be hanging out when he's in town.
And then stopped in Windsor on the way back because
strip clubs.
my lady friend who I was with lost her phone in the middle of the day somehow. So stopped at the first mall across the border in Windsor.
Picked it up.
Got a new phone.
Did you look around Windsor a little bit? Maybe stop at some of the gentlemen's clubs, or
No, there's one across the mall from the. There was one across
the street from the mall?
Yeah.
It's like Scarborough then.
Met a new friend, Mike. Shout out to Mike at the Windsor Mall at the Foot Locker. Gave me a manager's discount on some shoes.
So he
He's
he
like,
walked
"What
in
are-"
and he was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, and I told him the story. I'm like, I didn't think I'd be in a Windsor Mall, but here I am.
Was he pumped to have you there?
Well, I was telling him about Detroit, and he's like, hey, me and my buddies go like every weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you and Mike went across the street to the strip club after you bought your shoes?
Nah.
You picked up some Air Jordans?
Yeah.
So Toolsy's wearing Air Jordans now, guys. I love this story. You'd never purchased Air Jordans before. What
No.
made you decide? Is this a
That
midlife
manager's
crisis
discount.
thing? What is the manager's discount? 5%?
No, it was big.
Yeah?
That probably got like $40 off.
Oh, yeah. Then you can't turn down those Air Jordans. But I like the idea of you wearing Air Jordans all the time now. Like, I like that being your signature shoe for the summer. You're heading out to the different casinos and stuff.
Well, I see them now. They're sitting at my door. I've never worn them yet. And I'm like, I can't wear these. I'm 43. And they're Detroit Pistons colors. He's like, this is the signature Detroit Pistons Air
love
Jordan.
it. I think that's so cool. That's what Rasheed Wallace wears around every day, around his mansion in Auburn Hills. Did I hear correctly that producer Tim said yesterday that he was wearing Air Jordans, or he has Air
G-Bone.
Jordans? Oh, G-Bone. Our other
No,
producer.
he's brand loyal. He's a Kawhi Leonard New Balance guy.
He's been New Balance ride or die since New Balances started being made. And now it's paying off for him because New Balances are cool again. Kind of, I guess.
Well, there's cool New Balance, and then there's still the mall walker New Balance.
And that's what Tim has. That's what I don't understand. Tim has a plethora of New Balance shoes to select from, and some of them are quite cool. And he insists on wearing these old, as you said, mall walker. They're like shoes like an elderly nurse would wear. Can I get the? Dan goes in. He's like, "Give me the Air Jordans." Tim goes in. He's like, "Give me the nurses."
Give me the Nurse Jordans. What? Just do it, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. And give me that manager's discount. Honestly, how would I ever know if you're Tim or not? Like, we've never seen your face. You, Mike. You know who I am. And then he and Mike start fighting outside the Windsor Mall.
I wish I remembered the mall. They just went through a huge reno. It's beautiful now.
So if you're in the Windsor area, make sure you go to that mall that was renoed. And then go across. Do you remember the name of the strip club across the street? That could help us. Let me guess. Cheetahs.
No, it had a number in the name.
69ers.
No.
If we opened, shout out. Oh, I got to get my phone. 1 sec.
Hey,
I wish we
speaking
could
of
play-
Detroit and it's coming back, still a good place to buy real estate. Talked to the bartender at my hotel.
Sure,
He moved there from Fort Lauderdale, got a 4-bedroom house, $100,000.
What? That can't be true.
His mortgage payment a month, he said, was I think $500 or $600.
See, that's the kind of place I need to find. Is there something like that in the Greater Toronto area?
I told him the average house price in Toronto. He's like, what?
We all need to head out to a more remote location.
We could all just go to Detroit, work at the hotel.
Could we commute? It's what you said was 4-hour drive?
Yeah, it's like 4.5.
Yeah, it seems a little lengthy.
It's very. Yeah.
I'd rather live in Montreal and commute from there. It's only 5. I'm sure every single day it'd be 5 on the dot because there's never bad traffic in
Yeah,
Montreal.
but you aren't going to get a $100,000 house in Montreal.
That's true. Real estate has gone up there, but I love that city. I'd live there in a second.
Oh, me too.
In a second. Maybe we could move this show to Montreal and do it out of the RDS studios.
Or John Lou's basement.
But if we do it at RDS, and all our camera guys will be francophone, our director, everybody, they'll be saying French things to us. We'll have no idea what they're saying. We'll be like, yeah, no. They'll be like, speed it up, And we'll be like, allez, allez. And we'll be like, I got
Come
nothing.
see, come saw.
Yeah, we got nothing. Sorry. We'll just keep talking.
Oui.
Sign
all right.
off?
What grade do you take French to in Canada? 9 or 10? You have to take French.
I don't think it's the same way as it was when we were kids. When we
'Cause
were
I
kids,
took
it was
it-
like till 9, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it. I think we've discussed this on the podcast.
No, I got
don't.
nothing. You have to have an affinity for it. We're going to put our daughter in French immersion. And I think that's the only way to
That's
really
the
learn.
way to do it.
Yeah. We're just going to stick her in there and hope it works out. And if it doesn't, whatever, we tried. But I sincerely regret not being able to speak French. Do you think we could learn now? Maybe one of the listeners?
Rosetta Stone.
Seems too hard and too much work.
You can get an app, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm trying to find
One French word a day.
the gentleman who did our Jay and Dan Liquor Hole theme song. They wanted us to.
Right, we have the correct name now because we couldn't forget the name.
Yes, but I can't find it, of course. Oh, here it is. Yes, okay. So we said it was the North Coast Band. It is, but it's actually Duncan Ivany and the North Coast Band. So shout out to Duncan, the creative force behind Duncan Ivany and the North Coast Band.
Christoph, so he's going to be editing this. Can we hear that song again? Just
Let's
a
hear
little snippet of it? Here
Jay
it
and
is.
Dan's Liquor Hole jingle. Ah, that's good stuff, isn't it?
Hey, I like this. So we've got wireless mics on. We can walk around and talk. Walkie-talkie.
So if we started doing the podcast here in the studio, it could be just a series of walk and talks. You just walk around. What we could go take you when we, the interactive, immersive experience when we go to the bathroom. We could take you in there with us. What's it like when Jay and Dan go to the toilet? You could find out. That could be one podcast. And then Sonia Burnett Matthews is working on our show. She's one of our. She's our production assistant. She's looking at us like, what the hell is this podcast? I don't think she's heard it. I think she's extremely confused. But we should, again, just mention she's Brampton, born and raised, and very, very proud about being from B-Town.
Okay, I got the name of the strip club across from the mall.
Perfect. It's called the Niner Diner.
It's called Studio 4.
Studio 4. Okay, I don't get it, but fair enough. So head to Studio 4. So then by virtue of that, you should be able to find the mall across the street. Are you on Google Maps?
Studio 4.
Okay, this is going to take a while.
No, I'm good. Okay, so there it is.
So this is a podcast where Dan looks on Google Maps. We wait for him anxiously.
Okay, I thought it was across from the mall.
Were you drunk at the time?
No. University of Windsor's close to it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think I'm getting closer here.
All right, this is fascinating stuff. While
Okay,
you're
no-
looking for that,
Oh, sorry.
While you're looking for that, have you seen this Marie Kondo tidying up show, Toolsy? Or have you heard of it? Tidying up with Marie
I have,
Kondo?
yeah.
Have you watched any of it yet?
No.
No, Canadians don't get Netflix. Netflix is not available here in Canada. Only Crave TV is. But if you were lucky enough, like me, to go across the border briefly, you saw this Marie Kondo show. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I like things to be neat. I mean, I enjoy neat things. This should appeal to me. But the whole premises of this show is a meek, beautiful Japanese woman who can't speak a word of English.
Really?
Goes into this couple's home and she cleans it up. And she shows them how to clean it up. And then you see over the course of the episode them learning how to clean up.
I don't
Who
like
in
that
the
at all.
right mind would want to watch a couple learning how to clean up? Why, how is this a sensation? How is this popular? And then this is our friend Rob Dunn, a good friend of ours, pointed this out to me. The episode I watched, it's the first episode. It's a nice couple, cute kids. But at one point in the episode, you see that the wife has a cold sore. She's gotten a cold sore halfway through the episode. That's fine, it happens. But when they stop filming and then be like, all right, let's just pretend we'll pick it up in like a week when this is cleared up. But they're like, no, we're gonna plow through it.
Was it that bad?
It wasn't that bad, but I was just like, guys, there wasn't a timeline on this. Like, you didn't have to deliver this. You could have waited. You could have waited a week.
And this is on Netflix?
This is on Netflix. Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. Anyway, I'm just baffled that this is popular. I watched one episode. I barely made it through. And my wife agreed with me. I thought, is this just me? This is horrible television. Like, I get the designer shows. I get the who are the twins, Jonathan and Drew.
The Fix-It brothers.
The Fix-It brothers. I get that stuff. But the cleaning up your shit, I don't want to see a big garage being cleaned by some lunkhead.
No, I will never watch that show. Thank you for telling me about it.
Yeah. Anyway,
there's a new show on Netflix, Polar. If you
now, this is a show or just a movie?
It's a Netflix movie.
Okay.
The guy from Hannibal is in it.
Mads Mikkelsen.
And
he was Blofeld in the first Daniel Craig James Bond.
When he goes to town, when he goes to a store to buy stuff in this show, that's Orono. Main Street Orono. In it, and so is my general store.
So, what is the movie called again? Thunderdome? Polar. So
yeah, Orono, front and center once again. I found the name of the mall too, the Devonshire Mall in Windsor.
Oh, sounds very fancy.
That's right.
Let's go to Windsor to the Devonshire. I understand we can get a discount on Air Jordans at the Foot Locker.
Now everyone's going to be asking for the manager's discount.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be going in there. Toolsy said you'd give us all a discount. 30, 40 dudes on their way to number 4.
Studio 4.
Oh, yeah, Studio 4. Hey, let's stop in at the Devonshire, get ourselves some
Studio
Detroit
4,
Pistons Jordans.
Well, driving by, I think it said free buffet.
Oh, they still have a buffet? I didn't think strip clubs did that anymore.
They probably shouldn't.
It just seems like a lot of work to not only coordinate all the strippers, but the food as well. And to pass all the health codes. I remember the Brass Rail in Toronto. If someone asked for food at one point, they would just, they would microwave a pizza, like the frozen microwave. Remember when you'd froze? Yeah. And just bring a pizza out.
That's nothing wrong with that.
At what point do you start looking at yourself in the mirror as you eat a microwaved frozen pizza at the Brass Rail? Yeah, at what point do you say to yourself, where did things go wrong for me?
They don't know it's microwave. They're probably thinking, man, they've got a beautiful pizza oven in the back.
Not us in the back. I want a pizza! Another pepperoni! Oh, it's coming! I got manja!
Do we have a guest on this podcast?
Yes, our guest is stand-up comedian Mark Forward.
How are we going to do this?
Well, this is amazing technology. We're going to give Mark a call right now. Okay?
And we have the ability to have him on the podcast.
Well, we don't. You and I don't have those skills. Luckily, our talented crew, including Brampton, Ontario native Sonia Burnett Matthews, as well as our friend Jamie Stoyanoff, our director, they're going to call up Mark. And they are going to, we're going to talk to Mark. He's got a brand new comedy special coming out called Mark Forward Wins All the Awards. It is going to be on Crave TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby. Right? Belle's got to be happy with us. Oh, I can't believe we haven't mentioned this. Jay and Dan's show on after the Super Bowl. On after the Super Bowl this week. So I know if you're Mark Forward and you're home,
in beautiful Oakville.
And you're eating a microwave frozen pizza from the Brass Rail, you might say to yourself, maybe I'll watch Jane Dan. No, this is serious. Before we get to Mark, very, very quickly.
Hey, wait.
Go ahead.
He was in Fargo?
Listen, Mark Forward doesn't mess around. They've shot Fargo in Canada.
Yeah.
Dan, this is serious, though. The post-Super Bowl slot, like that's the Friends slot, right? They give it to ER back in the day. Big Bang Theory has had it. You put your biggest show in your stable on after the Super Bowl. You want people to see it. And what did the powers that be at CTV decide? They want to put Jay and Dan on CTV after the Super Bowl. So that's what you're going to see. You watch the Super Bowl on CTV, you will see Jay and Dan on afterwards. So tune in. And we're not going to do anything different.
Guess what I'm doing? I'm making my chili.
Oh, it's going to be a stinky studio. Mark Forward, how are you, my friend? Are you are you driving around, just wandering the streets in your Toyota Tercel right now?
I purchased a small snow plow, and I'm making a little money on the side.
Yeah, it's hell out there. Give us a weather update, because that's what people want on podcasts, weather updates.
Well, I'm in southwestern Ontario. There's about 22 to 24 centimeters of snow.
Have you shoveled a few times today already?
No, I wait. But sometimes I do feel anxiety that my neighbors think I should.
Yes, I feel the same way. Not only that,
Yeah.
Mark, like, I don't know like I live in a small house downtown by the Comedy Bar, actually, and my driveway is, I don't know, about 6 feet long. And, and so I feel the need, I shovel it, and then I'm like, well, that wasn't enough. So then I shovel my neighbors and my neighbors beside, and then I think, well, next time they'll get me back.
No, they never do.
No, they never do. They never.
No, they don't. I lived downtown for like 20 years, and I remember shoveling out my parking space because I had to pay money to park on the street because, that makes sense. And and then my neighbors would just pull into it 20 minutes later.
Yeah, right. They'd be like, thanks, Mark.
Yeah. And they'd clear off their little driveways and put it right in my parking space.
Yeah.
So I couldn't win.
Yeah, it's just brutal. And like I said to my wife yesterday, can I get a snowblower? But you can't in those downtown streets. Where am I going to blow the snow? Like onto my neighbors' cars parked on the street?
Yes, do that.
I guess I could.
Do it.
Yeah, I should. I should do it.
Mark, you were in Fargo?
I was in Fargo, yeah.
Tell us
Fargo
about
season
that.
3. Yeah, it was, Jim Gaffigan, if you've ever heard of him.
Of
What
course.
a funny guy. He
Yeah,
likes to eat things.
Very funny guy. He had more important things to do, and they needed someone to replace him real quick. And so I went down to an empty room in downtown Toronto, and there was my old fight director from college was auditioning, which is weird.
That must have been awkward.
And then in 3 days I was shipped off to Calgary to shoot the show, and I went in thinking, oh, that'll never happen, as you do. But then it was the greatest experience. It was amazing.
So Ewan McGregor was in that season, correct?
Yeah, Ewan, Carrie Coon, Shea Wiggum. It was unreal.
And were they respectful of your obvious acting talent? Did you guys get into huddles together, go over scripts, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I taught them a lot. About oh my God, just human decency and.
Mark,
no, there's actually one scene in the show where I had to sit at a table, and Shea Wiggum, who was on Boardwalk Empire, and then Carrie Coon, and they're doing a scene, and I am not acting in that scene. I am just sitting there watching two brilliant people.
Just staring
if you
with your
could
mouth
find
open.
that scene, just watch it. I'm just a fat idiot sitting at a table.
Mark, you have a new comedy special coming out. It's called Mark Forward Wins All the Awards. And the exciting thing from a perspective, a Jane Dan perspective, is now you are very much fully in the Bell Media family.
Am I a friend of Jay and Dan now?
Well, you're
Yeah,
absolutely
of
a
course.
friend of this show. But more than that, you are part of the Bell Media family because this comedy special, Mark, is going to be on Crave TV.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I put out my first special, and it went nowhere.
And that was Mark Forward Presents Mark Forward.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I kept it at the basement price of 99 cents, and still no one wanted it.
It's amazing. It's almost insulting, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like, I don't know what else I can do.
So
I
you
pretty
went to
much
the powers
say-
that be at Crave.
Then the powers that be at Crave saw this other show I did, and they were kind enough to want to make it. So, yeah, it's coming out on a certain date, but they don't let you say, right? Because they all sit in a boardroom and they're like, they think they know not announcing a date makes it better.
Yeah, I don't. Did they explain that to you? Is that what they said? If we don't announce it, Mark, it'll be better. Trust us.
Yes, right?
I don't
Sounds
get it.
strange.
You've met social media people.
Yeah.
They usually have about 99 followers and they think they understand Twitter.
Yeah, that's true.
So describe the process of getting this together. Do you do one show and say that's it? Or do you do 3 and then cut together the best parts of each of them? Describe this.
We did 2 downtown Toronto, and we cut pretty much one of them was the best. There was a bunch of deadbeats in it on the first show. And
probably crave executives, Mark.
Yeah. They were all just worried about what date the show was happening on. But the second show went great, so it's mostly that show. But yeah, we did do 2, and we cut it together. And it actually was like 2 years in the making because I'm a bit of an idiot because I don't just write jokes, and then I put a lot of music into this show, so they had to buy rights and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's like WKRP on DVD. They could never release it because of all those tunes.
Yeah. And I was watching Cheers the other day, Gary's Old Town Tavern.
Yeah.
They put the Monster Mash and all the equipment, but it's some other song now. It's
really?
Yeah. It's like they pick up the phone and it's like, monsters are coming, but you don't know when.
Danson probably wrote that in like a second on a napkin or something.
Mark, here's a question I've always wanted to ask a stand-up comedian.
All right.
Say you're in the middle of a set, it's going great, the crowd's into it, but there's someone with a really annoying laugh. They're having fun, like they aren't bothering you, but it's an annoying laugh. What do you do?
Oh, my God. I personally hate it, but it's great when it's in the back. If it's in the front, it's over.
Right.
If it's in the front, because the weird thing about human beings is anyone else in the crowd is going to hate that person.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're united together in your hate.
Yeah, people don't enjoy other people having more joy than them.
Yeah. It's like what Larry David said about people hate when other people are whistling down the street because they don't like people to be happy.
Yeah. So they start watching them rather than watching you. So if they're in the back, I'm fine with it. But if they're in the front, it's over.
It's like the same thing that happens in a sporting event is if you're watching a televised event and there's a crowd mic somewhere and there's someone who's yelling the entire time. I don't get going to a sporting event going, ah! Ah! The entire game.
Well, maybe that person's being attacked.
I don't understand going anywhere.
Yeah, just doing East Side Mario.
Yeah.
You want a table, sir? Ah!
Would you like some extra bread?
Mark, what's the worst gig you ever had to do? The worst gig you ever had to do?
It was in Prince Albert, Alberta. I did the Prince Albert airport Christmas party.
Oh, God. What happened?
I was pretty new at that point, and they took me from the hotel in a very bad limo. And it was in the hangar, and there was 13 people there, and they had like a guitar amp, and I just told jokes for 13 people, and the echo was insane.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And the whole time there was a woman in the back going, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Welcome to PA.
And it was catered by Eastside Mario's, strangely.
Hey, bada boom, bada bing.
Oh, Eastside Mario's. We've all been to one. You've got a couple of comedy festivals coming up. The Burlington Comedy Festival and the Kitchener Comedy Festival. I guess my question is, do the organizers of each of those festivals fight each other at the end to see whose festival reigns supreme?
Well, I appreciate bringing those up. I only played the biggest festivals.
Yeah, these are the big ones. These are the ones
These are the.
Southern Ontarians are going to get to if the snow is plowed anytime soon.
It's so funny because they're like an hour apart.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Canadians are they're the worst fans.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because they'll go like, you'll play Burlington, and people in Oakville will tweet you and say, when are you coming to Oakville?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's tough. When you were like coming up, Mark, who are some of the comedians that you admired, or I guess still admire, like guys you looked up to, or maybe guys who helped you along the way?
Well, I came up in a weird time because I came up in the 90s when like the boom was dying. So I came up with like a lot of old white guys that just hated everyone.
Right.
And they had no backup plan. So,
Right. That's very similar to Canadian sports television, by the way, Mark, right now. That's exactly what we're dealing with.
So I fought through that. But then I saw John Doerr. Do you know John Doerr?
Yes,
Yeah.
John Doerr has a John Doerr television show. I remember that.
Yeah, I worked on that. I wrote on that. And, I just saw him do stand-up one night downtown Yuck Yuck, and it just changed my whole outlook. And I just saw someone that didn't care about rules. He knew the rules, but he knew how to break them. So that's kind of the route I went.
Red Green?
No!
Hey, he had a good run.
Yeah, he had a great run. Hey, let
And
me
what
ask
was
you
his
this.
show? What was his show before Red Green?
Smith and
Oh,
Smith.
Smith and Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, with his wife.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Oh, man. Yeah, and every episode would end with them making out feverishly while the credits rolled. And it was like, am I supposed to be laughing at this?
What? There was a song, wasn't there, at the end?
I think you're right. I don't really remember that show. I remember thinking, this seems like a lower rent version of Bizarre. Like, Bizarre is funny, and this seems like not as funny.
Exactly. And you know what? I think something inside me says it came on after.
It might have. Maybe that's why I remember it.
Let me
Yeah.
look this up.
What were you going to ask us, Mark? What we rudely interrupted you. What were you going to ask us?
I don't know what are you talking about?
I have no idea.
How are you guys?
We're good. Yeah, we're good. We're just hanging out. I can't believe we all made it to work tonight. Like, the whole crew made it.
That's insane.
I thought but producer Tim, our long-suffering producer,
Yeah.
he lives in Brampton, very proud Brampton guy, big Patrick Brown guy, loves legalized weed stores and rub and tugs.
Oh,
And-
sure.
Yeah, as you do in Brampton. And it took him 4 hours to get here, Mark.
Yeah,
4
ridiculous.
hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. You could
Wow.
drive to Detroit in that time.
I think I would give up at 2.
Yeah, I think I would have turned
Guys,
back.
I got some Smith and Smith background info.
Okay, here we go.
It was taped at CHCH in Hamilton.
Okay.
It ran for 6 seasons.
Not bad.
Wow.
Yeah, and the show took a 1-year hiatus in 1985, during which time the Smiths and their children, Max and David, starred in the family sitcom Me and Max.
Oh,
I do remember that.
wow. What a showbiz family they were.
And it's still airing on reruns on TV Land Canada.
Wow.
So there you go, guys.
Well, I'm going
my
to set my
God.
PVR tonight.
Oh, my God.
So what was the date again of that stand-up special?
Well, I'm not allowed to say it legally, but I would say, like February 21st, you can't watch it.
Right. That makes sense.
And, like, February 23rd, you probably could.
Okay, now this is all making sense to me.
Yeah.
That's how all shows should be promoted, by the way.
With cryptic math?
Yeah, cryptic math. Make us work for it a little.
Yeah, Sports Center with Jay and Dan. It's on sometime.
It's on nighttime-ish. We're on nighttime-ish.
So you guys risked your life to do your job.
Yeah,
tonight.
because we don't get snow days.
You
We
are so
described
right
this
about
off the
that.
top.
Thank you for pointing that out, Mark. We did risk our lives.
Yeah.
You know what else I love about CTV and Crave now. Now that Crave exists, CTV is trying to be so hip. So they're promoting like the Magnum PI reboot.
Yeah.
And they won't say Magnum PI, Sunday at 9, and streaming on the CTV app. It just
they're
says
saying streaming.
Streaming on Sunday. It's like, but what? I still have cable. When do I watch? Where am I supposed to watch that show? Like, no, we're streaming now. What's cable? We never did that. Not here at CTV. We're so hip.
But you know there's a guy like in the boardroom named Cord.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And Cord's been hired for like a 6-month stint. He's like, I'm going to tell you guys how things work now.
Cord is a millennial whose parents have a cottage next to the CTV execs.
Yeah.
And Cord is now literally running
And all the
show.
executives are copying now. He like walks in with a Jamba Juice the next day. They're all like, yeah, hey, I've always been into Jamba Juice. Just like Cord.
That Cord guy's great. Cord, what are you doing this weekend? You busy? Or you guys want to get together? Eastside Mario's?
No, I mean, that's not cool anymore. That's right, Cord. Well, I guess we got to go get ready for our TV show now. And no one's shoveling. Literally, no one is shoveling here at work, so we have to go shovel.
Mark, we're literally being buried alive at Scarborough.
Please don't die there.
Well, it was always our destiny to die here, so I guess it's fitting somewhat. The special is called Mark Forward Wins All the Awards. It is coming to Crave TV sometime in February-ish.
That's correct.
So enjoy that, and it was a pleasure having you on, my friend, and you are now an official friend of the program.
Oh, man, you don't know how much that means to me.
Get out there and shovel, because right now your neighbors are talking about you.
I'll do so.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
That's Mark Forward. Wish we could tell you the date of his special, but hey, that's a mystery to one and all.
Yeah, that's a mystery to everybody, and that's the way Crave wants it. And
You know what's on Crave? Broad City. What a show.
Crave has got, all jokes aside, Crave has a lot of good programming, because you got the HBO programming, you got the Showtime programming, right? Mm-hmm. So you got the Ray Donovans and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and then you got the Letterkennys, which Mark was also on. Mark was on Letterkenny. We were on Letterkenny.
You know what they should do for one episode of Ray Donovan? Add a laugh track, because they're pretty grim. But just add a laugh track and it would spice things up.
We should add a laugh track to our show.
Sure.
Well, that's been the podcast, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Unique, different circumstance, but I think it really went well.
That's right. And do we get a pay upgrade for shoveling?
Sure. So we'll go get our pay upgrade from Human Resources. What's that? Human Resources were buried under 15 centimeters of snow? Ah, well, that'll probably make a lot of people here pretty happy.
How many people in this building are having a snow day tomorrow? 98%?
All of them. Everyone. Every single one. We're not joking. Like, we can't get out of here. We've moved in.
Yeah, Tim sent us a message. He goes, don't park where you guys usually park because you can't go there.
It's buried. There's steps getting from where we usually park down into the building. Tim said those steps are gone. And Andrew Zwarich, one of our star story editors, Z Money we call him, he couldn't find the steps, so he nearly killed himself.
He went in the ditch
He
because
went
the
over.
ditch is buried.
He went like over the top and fell down on his head.
So, Andrew, what happened when you went into work today? I fell in a ditch.
I died.
Okay, wish us luck.
Godspeed.